Thanks everyone for joining me here today with, we'll take just 10 minutes to go over C3 metals with you. I'm actually very new to the company myself. I joined just over 4.5 months ago in the role as CEO. And when the company first approached me, the first thing I wanted to do was to look at the people involved on the board and starting to understand for a very small company that we had people like JAMAICA, who's when we think of the Asanko deal room, he was the founder of the Asanko company, still runs that company today, one of the largest engineering construction management companies in the business. Also Chairman Tony Manini, 30 years in the industry, lots of success obviously with things like Oxiana, and co-founder of EMR Capital, has a bit of a following from the amount of money he's made people over his career. So when the people started to check out, I wanted to do diligence on what is the asset base. I have a financial background myself, brought in my own technical team to look at this, signed a CA, and took a look at the asset base. We're in two different jurisdictions today, Peru and Jamaica, and I know what you're thinking. Jamaica, really? Because that's what I thought when the company first approached me, but I see tremendous opportunity here after undergoing due diligence. But we'll start in Peru because that's where the company spent the bulk of its investment over the last couple years. You can see where we're located here in that light brown color. That's the C3 metals ground with our Jasperoide project. We are in a world-class district of major copper and gold projects. M&G's Las Bambas is currently operating, as well as Hudbay's Constancia mine. You can see First Quantum with the Hair project. You look at the tons and grade profile, that's going to be a mine when they decide to make the capital investment to move that project forward. After we started drilling at Jasperoide, Rio Tinto came in and started staking all the ground around us. Hudbay came up around us as well, and BHP's moved into this camp. So it's a very well-known world-class district that we're in. We started with a small postage stamp property, and that's where you see we have the drill permitted area, and we've since very recently expanded that land position now to just about 27,000 hectares. We have outcropping mineralization all over the property. Unfortunately, right now we're only able to drill that first skarn target. But when we've drilled it, if you look at the widths and grades we've received over the last couple of years, you can see obviously when you see things, widths and grades like these, 50 meters, 3% copper, 119 meters over 1% copper, with gold kickers, very attractive. We're going to come out with our first resource, maiden resource on our first skarn target of several that we think we have on this property, as well as porphyry potential. That'll be coming out in the spring. And what we see here is a project where everything you see in the purple is running 1 to 2% copper with some lower grade up front, up on top, and then really along the base we have 5 to 10% copper as this skarn was formed. So right now we're working on the maiden resource. But what we're going to be spending the bulk of our investment on this year actually is what we're doing in Jamaica, and for very good reason. There's a major structural fault in the subduction zone that bisects the island of Jamaica, the Crawl River Fault Zone. And when we think about big deposits like Pueblo Viejo and Dominican Republic, it's the same structural controls. One of the things I wanted to make sure before joining the company is what is the mining law and what is it like operating in Jamaica? And having worked 15 years in the precious metal side, I was completely unaware that there's a 70-year bauxite industry that's been running today for 70 years. The mining law is British law, being a former Commonwealth state. It's been in place for over 75 years. And unlike Peru, where it can take up to 2 years to get your mining permits just to drill, in Jamaica we're averaging 2 years. So was unaware that mining was the second largest industry after tourism when you think about also the 150 open pit limestone operations in Jamaica. Also didn't realize there was a past producing gold mine as recently as 2004. And they were mining, OzJam came in and they were mining a one epithermal vein here, very shallow open pit, only about 73,000 tons, but running 21 grams per ton was the resource on this. So potential for high grade definitely exists here in Jamaica. We've gone out and we've picked up just over 20,000 hectares along this fault zone. We'll start at Bella's Gate and we'll work our way around. This is a project that's had the most exploration done on it. BHP was here in the 90s, did a little bit of drilling. Most recently, about 5 years ago, Oz Minerals. And what we think's happened here is we think there's a potential for a big porphyry system that came up, and as the fluid came up, it hit a less porous rock unit and created these apophyses or fingers underneath Epidote Ridge. And the reason we think that is because anywhere there's a known porphyry near surface where we have a coincidental magnetic anomaly and chargeability anomaly, there's a porphyry. And then you can see on this slide right down underneath Epidote Ridge. That area has never been drill tested. We tried to get in and drill test it. Unfortunately, the rig that we have right now in country wasn't able to get to target depth, but we did hit 309 meters of 0.44 copper and 0.33 gold, 15 meters below surface, to show that yes, there is a hydrothermal channel or one of those fingers going down towards this zone. So it's something that we want to get back into as soon as we can bring in the right drill rig to get there. In the meantime, we're focused on Arthur's Seat. And at Arthur's Seat at this concession, this is where the company this summer, I just happened to be fortunate, I was under confidentiality doing due diligence when the geology team got boots on the ground and made it what we think could end up being a fairly significant discovery of an outcropping epithermal vein swarm at surface. You can see these ridge lines coming down the side of the hill. These are all outcropping quartz veins and quartz breccias. This area is 8 kilometers by 4.5 kilometers that has no modern day exploration. Just in the very top northwest side, Noranda was there in the early 1960s doing some rock chip samples in geochem in soils, and they were getting high grade copper. But as they walked down, there's a change in elevation. As they walked down towards the southeast, they hit this brown unit, which is a limestone, and it was dead, and they stopped. Our team came back this summer, we started mapping and sampling, and what we realized during this change of elevation, when you get to the base of the limestone, it is mineralized, which is very similar to Pueblo Viejo in the Dominican Republic. So what we're looking at now is this 8 kilometer by 4.5 kilometer area, where every magenta triangle you see here is a sample that's grading over 1% copper. And then in the southeast portion, or the bottom right portion that you see on this slide, this is where this epithermal vein swarms come up. And now we're looking at gold, where every magenta triangle you see here is a sample that's taken that is over 2 grams per ton gold. So this is a true grassfields maiden discovery that has never been drilled, this entire 8 kilometer by 4.5 kilometer area. We've just started poking our first holes. Jamaica's been great. We filed for drill permits the end of September. We received them the end of November. In December, we started poking some holes. We're on hole number 5 today. Assays pending for the first 4. And we have a 25-hole, 5,000-meter program to start testing this. The interesting thing you see about the rocks here on the right-hand side, and we look at the textures of these epithermals, they're identical to the past-producing Penance mine that I referred to. And if you can see just on the very bottom of that main ridge concession in the white, there's this little niche, and that's actually the old Penance pit. So when we move around, we've now started doing some mapping and sampling there. We just announced rock chip samples over this 4-kilometer trend up to 35.8 grams per ton, trending to the northwest of the old Penance mine along the Bennett Fault. And when we move up to the Rio Minnow Fault, we're getting through channel sampling and rock chip samples close to 3% copper. So we're definitely in something here that we think has district scale potential, because when we put it all together, we have 20 kilometers that we control of the Crawl River Fault Zone through this area. And if you think about where that past producing Penance mine here, this pit was here, and the radiometric signature, which is the coincident potassium anomaly that's associated with the gold, and we think of what we're seeing now at Arthur's Seat, where we're just starting to drill, that's never had a drill hole in it until December last month. We're very encouraged with the potential of this district scale that we have in Jamaica. So that's really the C3 story. When we think about Bella's Gate with the porphyry potential down here with some epithermals that were mined in the 1600s and 1800s by the Spanish and British, up to Arthur's Seat where we're drilling today, then we have all this copper and silver showing at surface up in the northeast. Come across, there's the past producing Penance mine, and then here is the where we're starting to map and sample, and we'll get in, and we're just about to file a drill permit here for the main ridge concession, which I said at both at Bella's Gate and Arthur's Seat took 2 months to receive. So it's just outstanding how quickly we can work and move forward with a very supportive government in Jamaica, and we're looking forward to coming out with our first assay results. We brought a team of analysts down to look at this project at the end of November, and already Paradigm Capital has launched an initiation report with a 20-cent target on us. I joined the company just after Labor Day. We were a 4-cent stock. Today we're 8 cents. With 20-cent 12-month target from Paradigm just came out. So really in Peru, we're focusing on getting drill permits for those other areas and coming out with the maiden resource. And in Jamaica, we're going to drill test this Arthur's Seat area, the 8 kilometer by 4.5 kilometer area that's never been drilled, with rock chip assays up to 58 grams per ton gold, 16.5% copper, and close to 5,000 grams per ton silver. That's my time today. I'm at booth 828 if anyone has further questions. Thank you so much.